March 30th, 2019, Joy R. Fisher debuted Finding Joy. Finding Joy is a candid and transparent journey of Joy's struggles with her identity, low self-esteem, body image, and other aspects of healing that could only be resolved or answered by her biological parents. Thanks to the efforts of the njcare team, Governor Christie signed the Adoptee Birthright Act, which reunited Joy with her biological parents and has helped many families connect with loved ones. Find out more on www.findingjoi.us. Find out more information and listen in as Joy shares her presentation on March 30th.
And I thought the best way to do it would be to share some of the preface of the book with you. Is that all right? Yeah. Okay. Whenever I want. And this is the first time I've done this, so bear with me. Adoptees look in the mirror every day, and the best guess we have to our ethnicity is what we see in the mirror. My parents knew my mom was black. I knew I was black on the surface, but so much of who we are is also tied to our ethnicity. I was concerned because if I didn't know my identity, then my kids don't fully know who they are either, except for what they see on the surface. And apparently my surface leaves some people confused. Ethnic history is very important. I recall heading south, and on a road trip, we stopped at a gas station one summer, and the attendant asked me, "What country are you from?" I was startled and I replied, "America." He gave me a look as if to say, "I don't believe you." Later that same day, I stopped in a corner store and the cashier started talking to me in Spanish. At first, I didn't realize that she was speaking to me. Then she and the guy at the register stared at me and she asked, "What country are you from?" The two of them went back and forth between what South American country I was from to the various islands in the Caribbean. I replied, "I'm black and I'm from New Jersey." They immediately became defensive and shook their heads at me in disgust. The woman then shouted, "No, mommy, you are not black." Now, what am I supposed to say to that? So for some reason, encounters like this happen often. Some days I reply, "I don't know." Other times I make something up. Yet on the days when I actually tell what I know, that I'm black, I would often get pushback. Everyday life presents constant reminders that I don't know who I am really on the inside as an adoptee. I have always had this overwhelming desire to find out my identity. Finding Joy is not just a play on words or an oxymoron. It is my truth. It is my journey to find the missing links to my biological roots. May 27, 2014, Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey, signed historic legislation, the Adoptees Birthright Act. This new law grants adopted New Jerseyans born after November 14, 1940, access to their original birth certificates without a court order. My parents had been sending me information about this legislation for years, and in 2014, it was finally enacted. But the law will not take effect until January 1st, 2017. How many of you were familiar of this new legislation?
Yes.
Thank you. But it was a personal victory for me and thousands like me in our state who desired more identifying information about our birth. I was not a fan of Governor Christie, but when the law took into effect, he became my hero. Not one to waste time, I nervously and excitedly applied for my OBC in November 2018. My parents always encouraged me to search for my birth parents. I knew I would do so one day because I've always desired to locate them in my extended family. Regardless of my accomplishments in school, at church, or in the arts, I always felt out of place or different, but just never talked about it. Growing up, I convinced myself that being adopted didn't bother me because I had such a great family. But the reality of it is that having great parents does not erase the fact that my birth parents gave me up. So how in the world could I be good for anyone else? These types of negative questions constantly seeped into my thoughts. Feeling less than impacted my actions, and life choices and determining what I needed to accept and deal with, because I actually started to believe that I just wasn't good enough. I want to become better at living in my truth and learning how to deal with new family. Over the years, I endured the remarks from strangers and friends who commented to my face or behind my back that I didn't look like either of my parents. Then, to make my different situation stand out more, there were family members who felt they couldn't chastise me, or, when they did my cousins, because I was quote unquote special. Now, I don't remember what we did some years ago where some family members and I were about to get spankings, but I was pleased to be special in that particular moment. I thank God in that moment. But that was something that did stand out to me in my lifetime. On January 11th, 2017, the legislation was enacted at the beginning of January. I received a copy of my original birth certificate. I informed Cousin Pat, and we finally had a breakthrough. Cousin Pat is a relative that I found on DNA through Ancestry, but we could not find the links to how we were related. Cousin Pat could not find my birth mother on her family tree. It turns out that Pat is my birth father's first cousin. We had been searching for my birth mother on her tree using statistics, and we were actually related on my birth father's side. 2 weeks later, on January 29th, I made contact with my birth mother, Flo. After that day, we communicated on a regular basis via text and Facebook messages. She didn't want to hear my voice and insisted that we met on Sunday, that would be the first time before her church that she would hear my voice. With my birth father, it was quite the opposite. From the beginning, all of my communication with him had been on the phone. He originally wanted to wait until July to meet at his wife's family reunion, but his siblings and family said no way. So he came to New Jersey in early March to meet my family and me. And if you listen to that timeline, January the legislation passed. February I met my birth mother. March I met my birth father, and this is all in 2017. There are days, and I must admit that I feel like I just cannot breathe. Days I feel like I want to cry, but I can't. I'm afraid at times of the what ifs. And there's days that people who don't get it can make me feel like I'm doing something wrong because of my desire to search. It bothers me that I can't always find the right words to help others get it. There's a group in New Jersey called njcare, and they have provided me with the resources to help me better explain to others what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And we have members of the legislative team from njcare. Can you guys just raise your hand? These are the folks. These are the folks that have advocated for this law to change for 34 years of their lives. 34 years using their own finances, fighting up against the biggest folks who were in opposition of this change being made. And in 2017, their hard work has paid off. I'm truly grateful. I'm truly grateful. I can't stop thanking them for the impact that they've had on my life. This wouldn't be possible without the work that they've done on behalf of over 300,000 adoptees in New Jersey. 300,000 adopted records, because every record there could be multiple children. But from 1940 to 2015, that's how many people we're talking about. So we're talking about over 1 million people they were working on our behalf, given their time and efforts over the years. I'm in debt to them forever. I know, now that I know the truth, I am happier. I am whole, and I will forever be grateful to the njcare team and to Pam Hasegawa and my cousin Pat, because they truly helped me put those final dots together to my birthright. Thoughts and visuals of the reunion with my biological parents still give me goosebumps, and it's difficult to contain my emotions. Every interaction with my birth parents sheds light into my being. I am so glad that I never gave up, even when a reunion seemed impossible. Again, this journey has indeed, it's been a whirlwind, yet the light at the end of the tunnel has made it all worthwhile. Realistically, I've been working on finding joy for over 20 years. I never realized that all of my journaling about my day's events would actually become a book. To be honest, I probably have over 1,000 pages of writing and hundreds more documents. And my book coach, Kim, can attest to that. As we were sorting through things, Kim was right up here. Every interaction again with my birth parents sheds light into my being. I'm so glad that I never gave up. Again, it's been a whirlwind. Realistically, and I just said that already. Okay. When I made the decision to share my story, I had no idea that I would actually meet and have a genuine relationship with both of my birth parents and a host of other relatives. This room is sprinkled with family, and family that I worked with for years that I now found out I'm connected to. And as you read my story, as hard as I tried to present it in chronological order, my lifelong questions and thoughts about my birth parents are disclosed pretty much in flashbacks and present day incidences. And so many answers to my childhood, college, and motherhood challenges have been resolved. I am proud to be adopted. I am honored to serve as an advocate or a voice for those who are adopted and for adoptees' rights. Whatever the njcare team needs of me, and I said this to them before, I am ready and willing to step up to the plate. They've given 34 years of their lives, and it's time for some of us to pick up the torch and take the baton. And I see Judy had a breath of relief over there. And again, some mornings I wake up and wonder if this has all been a dream. Thankfully, it's real, and my circle is complete. I found my joy in the morning, my joy in the noonday, and in the evening. And there's nothing anyone can ever do to take that away from me. Thank you.
Next, we moved into Q&A, and I didn't expect this to happen.
When we first talked, you sent me, I think, some books. And from the subject matter, it was very informative to let people know how you can, we tend to look at things from our own perspective and how it affects us. But in the material that you sent me, it also helped you work through meeting the other people in your family, because it says, well, the adoptive parents, the father and the mother, may approach things as one thing. So you can sort of give you a tip to how other people may approach you. It also gave some information that somebody else there may be another child that the other birth mother may have some children, or adopted may have some children, and there'll be relationships and dynamics that you may not be aware of. But it just sort of gives you an idea as to what other people perceive. So it sort of helps you be prepared to meet other people and know what their relationships might be. Anyway, I just wanted to share that. That information was very informative.
Thank you. And I wasn't going to call anybody out, but that.
Yes, that was my birth father. And then this happened.
I'm Flo.
I'm a Flo.
Only thing I wanted to say about the book that Joy sent all of us is that there's a chapter in there that tells you things that you should not do. And we did most of the things that we should have. So it's a good guide, but it's not the be all and end all, and there'll be things that come up at that time, at that moment, that you need to address and that you want to address. And you have to feel out each other's comfort zones. But it can be a wonderful experience. I'm trying not to cry. But the books, the meetings, I went to one of the group meetings with Joy, and I promised myself when I went that I was not going to say anything. And I found myself at the end of the meeting actually talking. And I said things that I did not know was going to come out of my mouth, but it did. And I found out later that having been so open helped other people in the room. And it was such a rewarding experience. I haven't been back, but I know I'm going again. That's it. Thank you.
Yep, that was Mama Flo, and it kept getting better.
Joy blessed me, okay? I adopted 2 little girls. My daughters are now 7 and 9, and I adopted them at 4 months old and 6 days old from the hospital. Wow. And when I connected with Joy, she told me about these books and these things, and you know, and some things in her book about looking like your parents and you don't look like your parents and that kind of thing. But my girls' challenge is they really do look like me. And the more I would feed them, the more they look like me. So, and then they would just keep asking me questions about being in my belly and all these things, and I'm calling Joy like, what do I don't want to lie to them, right? So she got me the book, the mulberry tree. So I said, okay, I'm in spring break 2 years ago. I said, I'm going to take them away and we're going to read this book. And I marked off the page. They're very good readers. They're bright as could be. We're going to mark off these pages and read, each one will read a page. And we finished the book and I look at them and I say, so, you know, what do you think? Mom, that's the saddest story I ever heard. How could the bird leave the baby with the people? Oh my God, now I'm going to call Joy. Like, I tell her you're adopted, you know? You understand it. So again, the connection, I was just, bottom line is they cried for a bit. And so I took them to Legoland, by the way, for the weekend. So, you know, and then it was just like, oh, okay. So I told them I wanted to be open. So we're still, it's not something that's hush hush, like you said. So your parents, you said people tell you you're adopted, but don't talk about it. You know, so we're going to be very comfortable about it. It's not a bad thing. You can talk about it whenever you want. I don't want it to be a secret. But again, I would, you know, again, how it's all, we're connected somehow. And I just wanted to say that Joy has helped me help my 2 girls. And she got to meet them just this Sunday. So after all these years, she just got to meet them. And she sees they're like so connected. But anyway, she's just a blessing. She's a wonderful person. And as you can see, and I'm just so happy for her. And I'm just so blessed that she blessed me. So.
My sorors and my sister authors being honored by Central Jersey Alumni Chapter and the Arts and Letters Committee in which I serve. Finding Joy by Mind Thrive Publishers, where writers and readers grow together. Please take a moment and write a review for Amazon and post it. Please share that information on our social media. Names will be entered into a drawing to win a fitness assessment and evaluation in May. Music produced by @HeyTasha3.
Girl, don't let your crown fall. This is not your downfall. You got so much in you. I can see your breakthrough. Finding joy, finding peace, finding everything I need, yeah.
Finding Joy is possible. Please log on to Amazon.com and order your copy today. Write a review, send us a screenshot, and post it to all of our social media accounts.